there, Gemini. Welcome to your May 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, your ruler, Mercury, goes retrograde in May. And another thing that happens is that you have a new moon in your sign in May. And of course, the sun goes into Gemini every May. So a lot of Gemini stuff happening. But let's start from the beginning. Venus goes into Aries on the 2nd of the month. So you've had Venus in the 10th house of career, and this has been going on since April. And when it goes into Aries, this is the 11th house of hopes and wishes, and also friendship. So this could be a social time with Venus in this very social house. If you have been, for some reason, not in contact with friends and acquaintances and any kind of groups that you belong to, this may be the time when you get more involved. Also, Venus can be love, so you may meet some love interest through your friends. They may introduce you to someone, or you're out and about and you happen to meet the man or woman of your dreams. The 11th house is a house of gains, so it does connect to your career, and Venus can be money, so there could be an increase in profit from a business or career endeavors as well. On the 10th, Jupiter goes into this same area. Now remember that in April there is like so much activity in Pisces, so many planets. Well, I keep saying so many, but I mean I could list. I'm recording this in April when this is happening. So your 10th house has been quite busy. Now the 11th house is getting some of this action, including Jupiter. And Jupiter is not going to be in Aries all for the rest of 2022. It will go back into Pisces. If you want more information on the dates and more details on how it will affect you, you can check my channel, because I've already done, well, I'll have to see if I've done one for Gemini. Because some of them I didn't do yet. Oops, I shouldn't say that. But you can check back if I haven't done one yet. But I will just say briefly that Jupiter in that 11th house can, like Venus, have some connection to gains that you make from business career matters. And therefore, you could find that they expand. It's like they grow new shoots or leaves. And this is also very good for, like meeting people, networking with people who are lucky for you, like they give you something. Jupiter in the 11th house can mean that friends are lucky for you in some way. They benefit you, in other words. But in addition to that, this can be like having some of your dreams come true, because the 11th house can be the house of long-range goals. That's why they say hopes and wishes. And so it's very visionary, this house, because this is Aquarius's house. So you're looking to the future. It's not just, in this moment. You're looking, it's like very futuristic. And it can be like prophetic and humanitarian. So anything that you're doing that is not just for you, but for other people's benefit is very good as well. It's like good karma, in other words. On the 10th, your ruler, Mercury, goes retrograde at 4 degrees of Gemini. And so this is in that first house. And this will see you doing something thinking about something that has to do with you as an individual and how it relates to you as a spiritual person, because Mercury is going to go back into your 12th house in Taurus at some point in the next few weeks. And when it goes into the 12, into Taurus, it's going to make you really see the difference between the you that is an eternal soul and the you that is an individual in this lifetime that has a certain personality, a certain sun sign, all of those things that are temporary. Because, like even your career, and this may even connect to, because you've had a lot of activity in that career sector, even if you have success, because Pisces is your 10th house, you have Neptune in that transiting that house. And so Neptune is the ruler of the 12th house, which Mercury is going to go into. I hope I'm not being too convoluted. But the point is that I think that Geminis as a whole may be a lot more, you're kind of spiritualizing your career aspirations when Neptune is in your 10th house. First of all, because your public image or reputation is a bit, I don't know if I'd say muddled, but it's obscured in some way. You may not even have the need to be, like, success may change its meaning for you. And you are more altruistic at this time, and you have been, as Neptune has been in that 10th house. And so that changes everything, because it changes how you view yourself, because we're kind of conditioned in this life to really think that, oh, wow, you have to be a success in order to be someone. You could look at the 10th house as, I am someone because I am this profession or whatever. And there's much more humility when Neptune is there, because you can see the bigger picture. You can see that there are so many souls that are shining their light on the world in their own way. And you may even be drawn to careers that are more concerned with helping others, altruistic, in other words, rather than self-serving. So all of those things can conspire to make you much more sensitive to what is going on and to do something about it. So this may be a bit of soul searching at some point. First, you may be just taking stock of your life as a whole with Mercury in the first house, and then kind of doing that soul searching. And Mercury goes direct on June 3rd, just in case you were interested. On the 16th, there's a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Scorpio. That's in the 6th house of work. So here again, we've had these hits to your career sector, the 10th house, and the 6th house is more, to me, I call it the house of the grunt work. So it's the actual work itself. I think of the 10th house as the glory, where you get to parade your successes in front of the world. But in the 6th house, rather than use the term work, I like service to others, because it really defines the higher purpose of work, which is not just to get a paycheck, but to serve other people. And the 6th house can also be your health, and it can be your daily routine. I always, think that people must roll their eyes at that and say, what the heck difference does that make? Or I work 9 to 5. What do you mean a daily routine? But if somebody works 9 to 5, let's say, and they really want to work for themselves, but they feel like they're on a hamster wheel and they don't see any way they can get off of it. Maybe they have children. Maybe maybe they're just the type of people that it just feels overwhelming to think of having to like, how would they start their own business if they have so many hours devoted to this outer job? And really, it's just kind of like when you're trying to have a budget with, you're trying to budget your money and stuff like that. You can think that you have no money to spare. And with a daily routine or schedule, you can think you have no time to spare. And when you really look at where you're putting your attention, you can see, oh, wow, I'm like just surfing the internet and just looking at, cat videos for 2 hours a day, or I'm, whatever. And can you tell I'm talking about myself now? I don't know if it's 2 hours a day, but those kinds of things are time wasters when you're trying to just totally transform your life. Okay, that's the way I would put it, with especially since we're talking about Scorpio, because Scorpio is all about transformation. So also with health, if there's some kind of, like, if you feel overwhelmed about your health, and sometimes people have tried to seek medical help, and they feel like they're spinning their wheels, but there's always something, you can always do your own research, in addition to going the professional route as well, and there's always, knowledge is power. I love reading about nutrition and diet and things like that. And these kinds of things can empower us to make changes, because with a lunar eclipse, you may realize that you have to make changes. And sometimes it's hard to do that if a person has some vices that they know are impacting their health. And a lunar eclipse can help to let go of those things. But obviously, if it doesn't happen, even after a lunar eclipse, then you have to find some way to phase things out of your life that are adversely impacting your health. Now, could somebody lose their job during this time? Well, first of all, this is a general reading, so it's not necessarily going to fall in this house. Even though you're a Gemini, and even though you may have some of Scorpio in that 6th house, it depends on your particular chart, sun or rising. So if this is falling in your 6th house, it, to me, doesn't have to mean that you're going to lose your job. It could mean that something is coming to the surface that needs to, like, the air needs to be cleared. Maybe it's with a coworker. Maybe there's some kind of a negative thing going on behind the scenes. And maybe there's something to do with a promotion. Actually, I think that if it is something like a promotion, that you might get more of a promotion than you thought. So anything can happen with an eclipse. It just can mean change. And by the way, sometimes you may not experience what an astrologer promises. I have mentioned over and over again that I have looked at my own chart and found sometimes that things did not go the way that I thought they were going to go based on, certain transits. And that doesn't mean that astrology is completely bogus, but there really are multiple interpretations, and sometimes we only think of a few of them and we interpret them in that way, and they're not necessarily going to be that way. So we shall see. On the 20th, the sun goes into your sign. So this is the solar return period, although on your birthday or on the day that is the actual degree of your sun sign or your rising sign, you can look at that as one of your New Year periods. And on the 22nd, Mercury goes back into Taurus, so it's in that 12th house. That's when you might do a bit of soul searching. That can be a time of reviewing some of the things that, again, maybe things that self-defeating patterns can be the 12th house. Addictions are an example of that, and I've already talked about that. And maybe it has some impact on health. On the 24th, Mars goes into Aries, so more 11th house activities. Now, Mars in the 11th can be really feeling drawn to network, and there might be a very important reason. Maybe you're trying to gather people together, too. If you have some kind of, like people that are very, like your tribe or your, it could even be professionally that you want to network because you're going to do some kind of a special project, or perhaps it just has to do with a humanitarian thing. Maybe it's a benefit concert or something. But Mars can be contentious, and for some people, there may be some kind of conflict that you have. Maybe you clash with a group. Maybe you clash with a friend. And Venus is there. So, whether it's really a big deal or not, I don't know. It might just be, unless it's like you, well, I don't know if this is a good thing to talk about, but like if you fall in love with one of your friends' partners, or or their date, and you fall in love with them, and then they get mad about it. On the 28th, Venus goes into Taurus. So Venus is going into your 12th house. See, that's what this is really making me think that this could have something to do with it. So it's like you fall in love with one of your best friends, men or women, whatever you want to call it, and then they get mad at you, and then you are on the down low with that person. I have quite an imagination. Venus in the 12th house can also be doing something artistic behind the scenes. So this can even be like if you're preparing for something, you may be doing some artistic endeavor that you're going to promote, but you don't want other people to realize what it is yet. It can also be meeting somebody that's soulmate material. On the 30th is your new moon, and it's an earlier degree, 9 degrees of Gemini. Of course, this is during the Mercury retrograde, so this is something where anything that you're going to do in terms of taking steps in a new direction, if that's something that you choose to do, you may find that there's a more receptive energy after the first week in June, when Mercury has gone direct. And actually, Mercury won't come out of its shadow until later in June, and that's another green light period going into August. So it's all up to you what you choose to do. I'm not one of those people that think that you can't do anything. Even when there are retrogrades, you can do things. But as soon as Mercury goes direct to me, that is a time when the new moon energy is still in play because it's before the full moon in Sagittarius, and you may find that things are easier to navigate. So anyway, Gemini, happy birthday to those of you who are born in May. And I hope that you have a great month. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.